Okay, this is going to be another template for all of my GameMaker developers out there. This comes from another template that was released by GameMaker themselves, which is the Space Shooter template. It takes like 15 minutes to make. As I was making this, a thought occurred to me of like, well, if I'm going to do this tutorial and it's going to give me a full-fledged game, you might as well take it a little further, right? The max furthest you could possibly go with this. So that's where this project comes from, is me wanting to make this something more and give it to you all. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing is the actual rocks themselves that are flying around. There's a lot of them and they're all over the screen, and I want to make this thing look a certain kind of way. What way? I'm not really sure, but I just want it to look unique. So I'm gonna load up my favorite image editor of choice, which is Hexels. Y'all already know, hashtag not sponsored. And we're just going to edit the rocks into something that's a little more unique. Now, I'm keeping the same outline, same general shape, but I'm coloring them in with this kind of orangish, brownish kind of fill. In the end, they're gonna look, in my opinion, a little more rock-like, and so they're gonna be flying around the screen. I would like to edit this so that they also have like their own animation, so it looks like they're rotating on the Z-axis or whatever, but that'll be out of scope for this video. We have the new rock. This rock looks awesome. It's gonna be floating around. It's gonna do the same behavior as the original. We're gonna spice things up a little bit. We're gonna make another rock. In Hexels, we're gonna load this again, and I want to make this one, my intentions are anyway, are to make it a little more dangerous without giving it eyes and like bushy eyebrows that are going down, but it'll look angry. So in this case, my angry color is going to be purple. The outline is going to change a little bit. It's going to have some spikes, and I think that'll look a little more aggressive, a little more angry, if you will. Now this is going to give us something that looks a little more interesting, but they'll have the same behavior. I don't really want the same behavior. I'm gonna change one thing, and that's going to make a dramatic difference. I'm gonna change the speed. Now, when you're doing any tutorial, think about these things, right? Any variable they give you, anything you change, think about what any kind of little change that you make can basically what it does to the game. In this case, the asteroids move at a set speed. If they start moving at a faster speed, the difficulty kind of spikes, which is actually kind of cool. A little challenging, but kind of cool. So in addition to that, what I had done in the code, I used a alarm variable to make a shot timer. This shot timer's purpose is to give us auto fire. Constantly tapping on the fire button is fun at first, and if you have a joystick and an arcade set, then I'm sure that could be fun back in like the 70s or the 80s. But since we're in 2025 and nobody has time for that, we're gonna make an auto fire. So I'm gonna use an alarm, make a timer for the firing function. We're going to basically allow ourselves to hold down the fire button. That will make this a lot more enjoyable. Now, you can still tap to fire, and honestly, tapping as fast as you can to fire is also still possible. It's just you probably don't want to do that. I don't know. I'm giving you the choice. So we have auto fire. Now we need a custom sprite for the spaceship. Now, initially, I'd made one using the editor that ships with GameMaker. It was a white ship with an orange border. It's still in the project files if you want to look for it under sprites. For this new ship, I went into Hexels once again, and I made more of like a drone type of hovercraft type of thing. I don't really know. It just kind of came to mind. It's definitely not like any of the concepts that I've been sharing on the website. We'll get there. We'll get there, I promise. So now that we have the custom sprite inside the editor, and our spaceship now looks like it's got more personality, basically, we now have kind of a cool looking game. It's a bit challenging, but nonetheless, it's starting to have its own identity. In the actual tutorial, they have you make these floating power-ups that you can get as the ship. These power-ups do things like give you bigger ammo, more ammo like a spread shot, and even invincibility, which is pretty cool. That's kind of not the direction I want to take with this. What I actually want is a version of like player feedback. I want to reward the player for shooting things, essentially. You know what I mean? Give them something for their hard work of destroying space rocks. So instead of power-ups, I'm gonna put a destruction counter on the upper right, and that's going to count the amount of points that you gain from killing space rocks. And these will add up, and periodically when you reach certain milestones, you'll get a new power-up, mostly weapons. These weapons will vary from faster shot times to bigger bullets to the spread shot. Eventually, your bullets become so big and so spread that you're almost invincible. It's actually really cool. And speaking of which, the bullets. So you get a little pixel that you fire, which is actually, it amounts to like 4 pixels when you look at it under the art editor, and so it's a little dot that you're firing. I wanted something a little better than that. I wanted to fire 2 shots. That also became a little annoying to implement because when you fire something, you have to pick a point on the sprite, which is, you know, a certain pixel, and that will emit whatever you're firing. We just have a single sprite that looks like 2 sprites. It still kind of works out because it looks cool. It is strong and it has a wide area of effect, like a wide shot radius, and it does the trick, right? It still destroys rocks. And as we destroy rocks, the sprite will get bigger, they'll move faster, and we'll even get a spread shot that will give us 2 or 3. I can't remember which one I stopped at. We have the weapon system implemented. Everything's working. It looks cool. Let's talk about levels. Game Maker has an interesting look at what levels are. Game Maker's concept of a level is something called a room. A room contains all your assets and actors and everything, or object you need to kind of function in that confined space. For this project, I don't really need that. We're not doing anything that I feel warrants a new play space. Instead, we're gonna just have 2 rooms, one for the menu that we already made, another for the play space, this play area. So you might ask yourself, how are we progressing? Well, that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked. The idea of a level is to show progression throughout your game's story slash, structure that you have. So instead of loading up a brand new room with brand new objects, I did the next best thing. I changed the background color. That's right. In order to show progression, you gotta kill enough asteroids, get enough power-ups, change enough colors in your background. And that's how you know. And you know what? The experience, you can kind of get a feeling of change. If you wanted to use rooms or whatever solution you've thought of, go ahead and go to LK.com, download the build, and implement what you have. I'm gonna update this template anyway. So I think the max color that I have implemented is like this orange-ish yellow color, basically where it ends. Now I don't have a game over screen or a goal implemented just yet because I don't have any enemies and I don't know kind of where this is going. I'm gonna keep implementing stuff, keep working on it, keep working on this design doc. We're going to get to a conclusion where you guys can have the most fun and have the best start at making your own shooter. On the website, I have a blog write-up for the space shooter. Specifically, I have one on how I implemented controller support, which I also used the Game Maker tutorial, but I went over just kind of how I implemented it here. It's in the build, so you are free to use whatever controller you want. There will be full write-ups on controllers, monitors, computers. Alright guys, we did it. You're free to download the Git repository and start using this template, or if you want, just like the MOBA, you can download the build of the game and play for free. Next video, we're going to go back to the MOBA. We're going to implement some minions, I believe. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to try to keep this on a decent schedule, Tuesday and Thursday. I know this one was kind of late. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Everything that the YouTube gods love. You already know what to do. And if you need any equipment or anything to get started, you can click on computers and more. And there I have everything from controllers to monitors to computers and laptops all listed there with full write-ups and links to where you can get them. Alright y'all, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.